The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the rugged terrain as Matt and Kayla trudged up the winding trail. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of pine and the distant sound of rushing water. At 14, Matt was full of energy, his brown hair tossed by the mountain breeze, while 16-year-old Kayla walked with a determined stride, her eyes scanning the landscape with a mixture of excitement and caution. "This is going to be epic!" Matt exclaimed, his enthusiasm bubbling over. "I can't believe we finally made it to the mountains!" Kayla smiled, thought a hint of apprehension flickered in her eyes. "Just remember, we're here to climb, not to get into trouble. We need to stick to the plan." As they hiked higher, the trail narrowed, flanked by steep cliffs on one side and a steep drop on the other. Kayla felt the thrill of the climb, but also the weight of responsibility. They had come here to test their limits, but the mountains were unforgiving. After hours of climbing, they reached a plateau with a breathtaking view of the valley below. The sun dipped behind the peaks, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. They took a moment to catch their breath and enjoy the scenery. "Let's set up camp here," Kayla suggested, pulling out a map. "We can tackle the summit at dawn." As they began to step up their tent, Matt's curiosity got the better of him. "Hey, look over here." He pointed to a dark opening at the base of a nearby cliff. "I think I see a cave." Kayla hesitated, glancing at the cave. "We should focus on getting ready for the night. Caves can be dangerous." But Matt's adventurous spirit was infectious. "Come on, just a quick look. We'll be back before it gets dark." With a reluctant sigh, Kayla agreed. They made their way to the cave, the entrance looming larger as they approached. The air grew cooler, and an eerie silence enveloped them. Kayla felt a shiver run down her spine, but she pushed it aside. Inside, the cave was damp and dark, the walls glistening with moisture. As they ventured deeper, the faint sound of water dripping echoed around them. Suddenly, a distant scream pierced the silence. "What was that?" Kayla's heart raced, her instinct screaming at her to turn back. "Probably just the wind," Matt said, thought his voice lacked conviction. "Let's keep going." They pressed on, the darkness swallowing them. The screams grew louder, echoing off the walls, twisting into a cacophony that sent chills down Kayla's spine. "Matt, I don't like this," she whispered, her voice barely above a breeze. "Just a little further." He insisted, thought he too felt the weight of unease creeping in. They rounded a corner, and the cave opened into a larger chamber, illuminated by a faint, shimmering light. What they found was astonishing. Crystals of various sizes adorning the walls, glistening like stars in the night sky. Water dripped from the ceiling, striking the crystals and creating the haunting sounds they had heard. "Wow!" Matt breathed, stepping closer. "This is incredible!" Kayla felt a mix of awe and fear. "We shouldn't touch anything, let's just admire it and go." But as they marveled at the beauty, the ground beneath them shifted. A loud rumble echoed through the cave, and rocks began to tremble from above. "Run!" Kayla shouted, grabbing Matt's arm as they sprinted back the way they came. As they sprinted back the way they came, they barely made it out as the entrance collapsed behind them. dust and debris filling the air. Gasping for breath, they stumbled into the fading light outside, the weight of what they had just experienced settling heavily on their shoulders. That was too close! Kayla panicked. Kayla panted, her heart racing. We need to get back to camp. Matt nodded, his face pale. I didn't think it would be that dangerous. As they made their way back to the campsite, shadows danced in the fading light, and the sounds of the forest surrounded them. Every rustle of leaves and snap of twigs sent their hearts racing. Kayla kept glancing over her shoulder, half expecting something to emerge from the darkness. When they reached their tent, they quickly gathered their gear and prepared for the night. She asked, staring into the flames. Matt shrugged. Maybe, but who will believe us? It's just a cave filled with crystals, right? Kayla frowned, poking the fire with a stick. Those screams didn't sound like they were coming from a natural source. What if we weren't alone in there? The thought sent a shiver down her spine. She pulled her jacket tighter around her shoulders, glancing nervously at the dark silhouettes of the trees surrounding their campsite. Let's just keep an eye out tonight. I don't want to take any chances. As the sun dipped below the horizon, darkness enveloped the mountains. The stars twinkled above, but the forest felt alive with unseen trees. They sat in silence, the crackling fire the only sound breaking the stillness. Kayla's mind raced with images of the cave. The beauty of the crystals juxtaposed with the fear they had felt. Suddenly, a rustle came from the bushes nearby. Both teens froze, their hearts pounding in their chests. Did you hear that? Kayla whispered, her voice trembling. Yeah, Matt replied, her eyes wide. What was it? They strained to listen. The rustling growling louder, accompanied by a low growl that sent chills down Kayla's spine. She grabbed a nearby rock, ready to defend herself. We should get inside the tent, she urged. Before the kid could move, a shadow darted between the trees. What was that? Matt exclaimed, his voice rising in panic. I don't know, Kayla replied, her heart racing. They scrambled to their feet, adrenaline coursing through them. The growling continued, ashing the darkness, and they could feel the presence of something watching them. Stay close, Matt said, inching toward the tent. They stepped backward, eyes darting around, searching for the source of the noise. Just as they reached the tent, a figure emerged from the shadows. A large, wild animal, its eyes glinting in the firelight. Kayla gasped. It's just a bear! Run! Matt shouted, and they bolted into the tent, zipping it shut behind them. They crouched in the darkness, their breaths coming in quick gasps. The sound of the bear sniffing around the campsite filled the air, and Kayla felt her heart pounding in her ears. What do we do? She whispered, panic creeping into her voice. We wait, Matt replied, trying to sound calm. We can't do anything until it leaves. Minutes felt like hours as they huddled together, listening to the bear rummaging through their belongings outside. Kayla's mind raced, thinking of all the things they had felt left out. Kayla's mind raced, thinking of all the things they had left out. Food, gear, everything that could attract the animal. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the bear moved on, the sounds fading into the distance. They waited a few more minutes before cautiously unzipping the tent. Peering outside, they said the campsite was a mess. Bags were torn open, food scattered across the ground. Great, Kella muttered, stepped out. Now we're really in trouble. Matt sighed, looking at the destruction. At least it didn't come after us. We need to pack up and get out of here. They quickly gathered their belongings, trying to salvage what they could. The adrenaline from their early encounter with the bear still coursed through them, making every sound seem amplified. The forest felt more menacing now, shadows lurking behind every tree. As they finished packing, Kella glanced back toward the direction of the cave. Do you think we should go back and check it out? Maybe we missed something important. Matt shook his head. Not a chance. We had enough excitement for one day. Let's just get to the base and call for help. Reluctantly, Kella agreed. They set off down the trail, the early morning light barely illuminating their path. The air was thick with tension, and every crack of a twig made them jump. As they descended, Kella couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Halfway down, they reached a narrow ledge with a steep drop on one side. Kella moved cautiously, her heart racing as she focused on her footing. Suddenly she heard a loud crack. The ground beneath her shifted and she felt herself slipping. "Ed!" She screamed as she lost her balance, her body tumbling toward the edge. Without thinking, Matt lunged forward, grabbing her wrist just in time. "I've got you!" he shouted, straining to pull her back up. Kelly's heart raced as she dangled over the edge, fear coursing through her veins. "Pull me up!" she cried, panic rising in her throat. With all his strength, Matt heaved her back onto solid ground. They both collapsed, gasping for breath. "That was way too close," Gela panted, her heart hammering in her chest. She lay on the ground for a moment, trying to process what had just happened. Matt still catching his breath, looking at her with wide eyes. "You okay?" he asked, concern etched on his face. Kella nodded, through her hands trembled. "Yeah, just give me a second." She sat up slowly, feeling the adrenaline fade but the fear lingering. The reality of how close she had come to disaster was settling in, and it made her stomach churn. "Let's keep moving," Matt urged, glancing nervously at the edge. "I don't want to stay here any longer than we have to." They got to their feet, and Killa took a deep breath, steadying herself. "Right, let's just get back to the base camp." They resumed their descent, but Killa couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The forest felt heavier, the shadows deeper, as if the trees themselves were closing in around them. As they continued down the trail, the sounds of the forest seemed to fade, replaced by an eerie silence. Kella felt as if they were the only two people in the world, and the isolation was unsettling. "Matt, do you feel that?" she asked, her voice low. "Feel what?" he replied, glancing at her. "It's too quiet, it's like the forest is holding its breath." Matt frowned, his expression serious. "You're right. It's weird." He paused, listening intently. "Maybe we should pick up the pace?" They quickened their steps, but the silence hung heavy in the air. Just as they rounded a bend, a sharp crop edged through the trees, followed by a loud thud. They froze, hearts racing. "What was that?" Kella whispered, her voice trembling. "I don't know," Matt replied, his eyes darting around. "But we should..." Before he could finish, A massive branch fell from a tree above, crashing to the ground just a few feet away from them. The impact sent a shower of leaves and debris into the air, and they both jumped back, adrenaline surging again. "Run!" Keller shouted, and they took off down the trail, branches whipping at their faces as they sprinted. The forest seemed to come alive around them, the sounds of rustling leaves and snapping twigs amplifying their fear. They didn't stop until they reached a clearing, gasping for breath. Keller leaned against a tree, her heart racing. "What the hell was that?" she panted, trying to catch her breath. "I don't know," Matt replied, his face pale, "but we can stick around to find out." They pushed on, the urgency of their situation propelling them forward. The trail began to steepen, and Kayla felt her legs burning with exertion. They had to reach the base camp soon. The thought of being out in the wilderness any longer was unbearable. As they climbed, the trees began to thin, and Kelly could see the distant outline of the ranger station. Hope surged within her. "We're almost there," she said, her voice filled with determination. But just as they emerged from the forest, a low growl erupted behind them. They turned to see a large mountain lion standing at the edge of the tree line. Its eyes locked onto them, muscles coiled and ready to pounce. "Matt!" Kelly shouted, panic rising in her throat as she instinctively took a step back. "Stay still," he hissed, his voice slow and steady. "Don't make any sudden movements." Kelly's heart raced as she tried to remember what they had learned about mountain lion encounters. She felt frozen in place, every instinct screaming at her to run, but she knew that would only provoke the animal. The lion took a step forward, its growl rumbling through the air. Kella felt a surge of fear wash over her, but she forced herself to stay calm. "What do we do?" she whispered, her eyes wide. Back away slowly," Matt instructed, his eyes never leaving the line. "We need to show it we're not a threat." They began to step back, moving as slowly as possible. The lion watched them intently, its gaze unwavering. Kel's mind raced, thinking of the cave and the sounds they had heard. This was a different kind of danger, one that felt all too real. Suddenly, the lion lunged forward, a blur of muscle and fur. "Run!" Matt shouted, and they both turned, sprinting towards the ranger station with everything they had. The sound of the lion's growl echoed behind them, and Keller could feel the rush of adrenaline propelling her forward. They burst into the open area around the ranger station, their lamps burning, and they didn't stop until they reached the safety of the building. They flung the door open and slammed it shut behind them, looking at it with trembling hands. "Did we lose it?" Kella gasped, her heart pounding in her chest as she leaned against the door, trying to catch her breath. Matt peered through the window, his expression tense. "I think so, but we need to alert the Rangers." They rushed to the front desk, where a Ranger was sitting, his eyes widening as he took in their disheveled appearance. "What happened?" he asked, concern filling his voice. "There was a mountain lion," Kel exclaimed, still painting, "and we saw a bear earlier. We need help out there." The ranger nodded, quickly reaching for his radio. "I'll send a team out to check the area. You two did the right thing by coming back here." As they waited, Kel and Matt exchanged glances, the adrenaline slowly fading. The reality of their adventure settled in the fear, the danger, and the bonds they had forged throughout it all. After a few minutes, a group of rangers arrived, equipped and ready to investigate. As they briefed the team on their encounters, Thank you for reporting this, one of the strangers said, looking serious. We'll make sure the area is safe. As the team prepared to head back out, Kelly turned to Matt, a smile breaking through her earlier fear. We made it, she said, her voice filled with a mix of exhilaration and disbelief. We did it, Matt replied, grinning back, and next time we'll be even more prepared. With a renewed sense of purpose, they watched the Rangers head into the woods, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Kelly knew this wouldn't be their last adventure. The cave, the mountain lion, and the beer would always be part of the story, a tale of courage, friendship, and the mysteries waiting to be uncovered in the wild. As they stepped outside, the sun began to rise, casting a warm glow over the mountains. Kelly took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their experiences lift. Whatever awaited them in the future, she was ready to face it, with Matt by her side. The world was vast and full of secrets, and they were just getting started.